Hello and welcome to yet another episode of With Love Mama, the podcast. Thank you for all of your listens, your follows, all the things that you're doing to support me while I am getting back into podcasting. It's honestly so much fun. I thought I'd give you a little life update and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about free birth versus home birth, purely because I feel like there's a lot of confusion. It's going to just be a mix of like mostly life update and then touching on that at the end. But at the moment, I'm currently 15 weeks and 4 days pregnant. I feel like I haven't updated you at all on my pregnancy since like the first episode. So things are looking really good. I honestly am forgetting that I'm pregnant unless I'm feeling her move. I started feeling some movements around I think it was 14 weeks or just before mark. It's funny because I actually felt Kodak's movements quite early on in that pregnancy as well. And then this pregnancy, I felt quite a lot of flutters. Obviously, it's not like super regular, like there's no rhythm to it at this stage, although I am feeling her and it's just so nice. And when I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's literally a baby inside of my belly, which is like crazy. But I'm so busy with my darling boy Kodak that, I feel like it's kind of hard to focus on being pregnant, whereas like the first time around it's quite consuming because it's like all new and you haven't felt it before and all of the things. So it's been kind of really good. Like my energy has been phenomenal. I had blood tests done and my midwife like looked over them, and my iron and everything's actually looking better than it was at the beginning of my pregnancy with Kodak, and we're just really, really working on keeping it optimized because it's in a really, really good place, my iron levels, and just like all of my levels in general. So I'm just continuing with my prenatal. I take the Naturnal vitamins, continuing with my beef organ supplements to keep up my iron, my magnesium, and my krill oil, like fish oil. Continuing with all of that just to maintain where I am and hope that my iron can stay higher than it did my pregnancy with Kodak. I did have such low energy with him, like it was crazy, and I think it was definitely due to like my iron levels being low. So that is that's something I really, really want to focus on, and that's really great because I'm really feeling excellent. I I don't know. I think when I was pregnant with Kodak, I really did lose like a bit of like myself in the sense of like I'm usually a very like go, go, go person. I'm very motivated. I do a million things at once, and I just really thrive in like getting things done, routine, structure, like all of that. And when I was pregnant with him, it was like a bit hard because my energy was so low. Whereas this pregnancy, my energy so far, I know I'm still early on, but my energy, and obviously, like I said at the very beginning, I did have like my morning sickness, that little spurt of morning sickness and stuff. But for the most part, this pregnancy's honestly probably been a lot easier than my first pregnancy, which is interesting because I had such a great first pregnancy as well, but it's just feeling even better this time around. So that's great, and it's great that I'm still able to be going to the gym regularly and keeping up with a routine that actually I thrive in and that supports me as a person, because then that like supports me being able to show up as the best mother and fiance for my family, which is just so slay. Other than that, we've now enrolled Kodak into a daycare, so it's really funny because I was always like the mum, or sorry, not the mum. I was always the person that was like anti daycare, anti so many things, anti formula feeding, whatever, all of those things. And it's just funny to like look back in retrospect because it's kind of like, who did I think I was to judge how someone does motherhood before even experiencing it for myself? And I'm sure there's so many people out there who have all of these like really strong opinions on how they will approach motherhood, or how they will approach motherhood and do certain things, and until you are actually in it, you can't know for sure what is actually right for your family. I haven't gone into it yet on my podcast, but unfortunately I wasn't able to breastfeed my son, and it was something I did really want to do, but it just didn't work out the first time around. And now that I reflect on that, I'm actually grateful because I did struggle with my mental health postpartum, and I think breastfeeding could have definitely added to the load that I was feeling postpartum. So I don't have any regret around how my journey went. I definitely have done a lot of processing around it and going into my next postpartum. I'm manifesting that it's just going to be the most seamless and beautiful feeding journey with my daughter so that I still get to experience that. But that was a huge thing at the start, right? I didn't even look into formulas. That didn't even cross my mind. That would be the like journey that I would be taking feeding my son. So that was a huge awakening moment for me. And then secondly to that, going into like the daycare conversation, we didn't just okay. So I personally, as a mother, like I sorry, not as a mother, but just like I personally on my journey and just like with my values and what aligns with me and what feels really good for me is not sending him to a traditional like daycare. I don't feel comfortable with like the artificial lights and the whole environment of a normal daycare. That is okay if you do. I just like don't, okay? So I'm not judging. I definitely am not judging now that I've become a mother and I understand the different layers and facets of motherhood. It's like each to their own. I feel like every mother does what feels literally perfect and aligned for them. So no judgment. This is just based on my values. But I didn't feel, and neither did Jai, feel comfortable going to like a normal daycare. We really wanted to find a specific place, and it's so weird. I feel like I manifest things so well, but I just wanted one day a week where I could have my clients on that one day rather than having them scattered throughout like the weekend or when Jai gets home from like a 12-hour shift and then he has to take over bedtime completely. And, like it was feeling a little bit of a strain and it was just a bit scattered and I just didn't like how it felt scattered. I also wanted a whole day where I could get my meal prep done and tidy the house or do whatever it was that I needed to do. I'm sure you can understand and you can even as a mum yourself, if you are a mum, sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, my head's underwater. I can't keep on top of absolutely everything. And seeing clients is completely my choice. Like it's something I really want to do, but it fills my cup so much. And like starting to get back into business fills my cup so much. So it's so important for me, right? As well as I really value a clean home. I really value like having things prepared. Prior to having Kodak, was like the sort of person that would have my meals planned out for the week. I'd have meal prep done, and that just felt so good for me because it just always felt like I was eating well, but I didn't even have to think about it. And I love anything that I can do that like makes my life feel seamless because it's like a no-brainer. Anyway, I was struggling a little bit because the time I was getting away from Kodak throughout the weeks for appointments and stuff, it was just simply because I had acupuncture or because I had a Bowen therapy session booked in, because I do keep on top of my body each week, especially being pregnant. But then I didn't really want or feel as though I had the time that I could then, have like an hour of meal prep or whatever. And on the weekends, Jai mostly works Saturdays. So, we only actually really have Sunday together as a family. And I don't really want to take that time out of my week to be meal prepping and cleaning and doing all of the things that when I could just be spending time with Jai and we could be having family time. So we came to the decision that daycare felt really good for us so long as we found one that was a home daycare that was open to all. We were definitely valuing more of like the holistic, natural route that they may take if you pick up what I'm putting down. And we also wanted them to be like a lot of outdoor play, in nature, sensory sort of stuff, like not just like in a class, not that like a normal daycare is in a classroom, but we just didn't want like the artificial lights over Kodak's head. Like we don't have normal artificial lights in our home anyway, so like I just don't want him exposed to it if it's unnecessary. We also valued somewhere that wasn't like super, I don't know, like I just really like thinking about just like EMFs and all of the things, like all of like the tinfoil hat mum vibes, like we're going there, and like we just didn't value like certain things. And I also wanted to be able to pack his own lunch so I knew what he was eating, because we try to eat a lot of organic food or just like, higher quality foods. So that was big. I also wanted it to be completely non-toxic because we use no chemicals in our home, and he's never really been exposed to them. So the thought of like, I don't know, Ajax spray and wipe or something like that being sprayed around him, I was kind of like, oh, that doesn't align with me. And we wanted it to be like an intimate experience for him. So you're actually like kidding when like I say we had this conversation a couple of months ago. There was one daycare, like home daycare nearby, went on the wait list for it, but like didn't hear anything back. And then I saw this post on a Facebook, and it was this lady posting, hey, I'm just coming off maternity leave. I have a like 13-month-old son. I'm looking for children around this age purely so they're on the same nap schedule or a similar nap schedule. And there's only 4 children in the day, including her own. So Kodak and then 3 other children. And we went and did like a meet and greet. We looked around the space. Everything just felt so aligned and so good. And so we obviously were like, oh my gosh, like this just feels great. And he started the next week, which was last week. So he had his first day last week, and I got him early last week because 8 till 4 is a huge day. And I think he ended up doing like 8:30 till 2. So it was still a big day, but we didn't do like the entire stretch. He had so much fun. I picked him up, and like he actually didn't even want me to pick him up. It was so cute. He feels so comfortable with the educator. He just, like, I don't know. I feel like I've always heard when kids go to daycare, they're like so wired after, and they're like a bit overstimulated and like all of the things. And he was absolutely not like that. He was just like giggly, fun. He wasn't super clingy. Bedtime was normal. He slept through the night as usual, and it was just like bliss. And then he went again yesterday for his second day. He was there the entire 8 till 4, had both of his sleeps, like went down a charm for her. Like it just had like the most amazing time. And then we still just got to have like the whole afternoon together, and I felt so good because I got to like get so much done around the house, get some stuff done with work, and he just like got to play. And there's actually only 3 of them at the moment, kid wise, so it's not even, it's like literally just like he's on a little play date at like an auntie's house, and he just like, it's just like great. Like even when I'm like leaving in the morning, I'm like, okay, mummy will be back, like bye bye, and he's just like bye bye and just like plays. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like Kodak definitely does have like a secure attachment with me because we have, from a very young age, he's been looked after by his nonna and pa once a week, so we can have our date night, or as I said in a previous episode, we did used to do our couples therapy as well. So he's had that like experience where he's been cared for by like close loved ones. I think he always knows mum does always come back because I always have come back. And we've had a couple of nights apart since he was born, and I feel like I always just like communicate with him and like prepare him, and he's always with someone who is like either a grandparent or my sister. That's really it. Or like my best friend, actually, like she has also babysat him before, but like people who he like who are super close and like are always around and are very familiar. So I think it's like prepared him to like have that secure attachment to me because he knows I do always come back, and we've never had big issues with like big emotions or him freaking out that I'm like not returning kind of thing. Like he always knows like bye bye, because I always say like bye bye, mummy will be back, and then I'm always back, if that makes sense. Every kid is different though. Like this could just be my experience with him, and then our baby girl could be like totally different. Sorry, that would have been really loud. I accidentally hit the microphone. But our baby girl could be completely different, and I could just be, thinking he's got this secure attachment and, doing the same with her, and it's different. It's obviously different for everyone. But anyway, so yeah, the daycare felt super aligned, and it's just like, that's a huge update because, as I said, I never thought I was going to do daycare, especially before the age of 3. But I think especially the way he is, like his character and how, like I just explained, he seems to have quite that secure attachment to me. It feels really good. Like if he was like super distressed and super dysregulated on drop off and when I'm picking him up and all of the things, I would just purely not be doing it. Like I would not be putting him through that just so that I have that day to keep on top of everything. Obviously, he comes first. But it's working so far, and it's actually been really, really great. So we love that. Aside from that, another update would be that I now have Wednesdays available for clients. So if you are looking for support through pregnancy or postpartum, definitely send me a message on Instagram. Everything's linked below. We can have a session, we can have a couple of sessions, whatever feels good, preparing you throughout your pregnancy for birth and postpartum, or if you just need extra support postpartum, whether that's through physical, like Bowen therapy, whether that's through energy and we do some womb healing, like whatever it looks like. It's a very intuitively led session, and it's very complementary to any external support that you would be getting. But let's move into the topic of home birth versus free birth, because my podcast where I spoke about my home birth, I then had a conversation with my hairdresser, and she was like, oh, I thought that home birth, like free birth and home birth, were the same thing. And I was like, no, like they are similar, although they are different, because a home birth is, and by the way, this is just based off my own like perception and of these two. So don't come at me if I'm not including enough details of either, or if I make a mistake in what I'm saying. I'm sorry, but this is just to like clarify for people who are confused, because I just feel like there's a lot of confusion. So home birth is when you are giving birth within your home and you are accompanied by medical professionals. So for me, that was with private midwives. That was 2 private midwives that we paid and worked with throughout our pregnancy outside of the hospital system. So they were in their own and they're like endorsed midwives, so like in their own practice, and like that's how it works, right? So when I gave birth to my son in my home, I had in the fridge, there was medication for if there were any complications. They had set up in our spare room like the baby CPR thing and the oxygen tanks. There was all of that sort of stuff here and supplied, and that was a part of it. As well as for home birth, you had the option to have the gas. I didn't have that, but there is that option. Obviously, you can't have an epidural because that's given to you in a hospital by an anaesthetist, so they can't do that as a midwife, but there is the option to have the gas, and they are completely and fully trained in delivering babies and supporting women, and they have the medical background and all of the things. They also know how to monitor quite well if there's anything potentially seeming to go down the, I don't want to say wrong path, but like if things are starting to present as though they may be needing more support. They are very well trained to pick up the cues of the woman. If you opt for it, you have the Doppler, so they're monitoring the heartbeat, the heart rate of the baby regularly. They're trained. It's their profession. It's their zone of genius. They're here to really just support women in that way. And honestly, they were super hands off. Like, it sounds like a lot, but my midwives barely even touched me. Like, it was really great in the sense that I did feel super empowered. I was in my own home, but I knew the backup was there if there was a necessity for it. And in my afterbirth, there actually was. I will go into that as well. I know I always say that. I have so many little stories, but if I get lost in them all, these podcast episodes are going to be so long, so I'm just going to have to circle back. But I was super grateful I had the medical professionals here, my 2 endorsed midwives, to support me in my afterbirth experience, because I don't know what could have happened if I didn't have them. So that's what a home birth is. A free birth is, of course, a home birth because you're at home, but a free birth is doing it free of any medical professionals or external support in the medical field. So in a home birth, in a free birth, it's very normal to have a doula there, although if you're not already aware, a doula is not medically trained. A doula is not legally able to give medical advice. They are purely there for physical, emotional support. So supporting your body in getting into the right positions and having a very deep understanding on how to support the body physically, how to support your support person. So it might be your partner that needs some, emotional support or something like that. And that's what a doula is there for. They're also there to support you emotionally. So when you're feeling those moments of not being able to move forward, they can sort of ground you. And that's what a doula is great for, although they are not a medical professional. And some women choose to free birth just at home with their, husband or their partner and their kids or whatever that may be. That is also a free birth. So a free birth does not mean you need a doula. It's just that a doula can be present for a free birth, just as they can for a home birth, just as they can for a hospital birth. But yeah, that's really the difference there of like a home birth and a free birth. Is a free birth is doing it on your own, having complete trust in the process, in your body, in knowing that you can handle if something was to go, I don't want to say wrong again. I keep on going to say that, but it's not wrong because it's just actually like if things are just, if there's complications arising or whatever that may be, in a free birth, it's completely on you. Like you might educate yourself a lot and you feel really safe and comfortable to take the next steps if something was to happen. And of course, in a free birth, there's the option to call an ambulance and go to the hospital if you're feeling unsure of something or anything. Like you don't have to, if a woman chooses to free birth or even home birth, whichever, you're not just locked into that. It's like any birth plan. Things can change and you can change your mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the basis of it is home birth is birthing with medical professionals present in your own home, and a free birth is completely just birthing alone with your partner, with a doula. No medical professionals are present. And that's the difference. So I think a lot of people have a lot of fear around both. I really don't. I know there can be complications in birth. I just also truly believe there's a lot of conditioning around what birth is, and I think there's a lot of fear, because I have had so many people be like to me, I can't believe for your first birth you did it at home, but like all of that. And it's just like, I just can't believe that it's weird to give birth to a child in your own home, because if you look back in history, it was women never gave birth in hospitals. It wasn't until oh my gosh, I can't say the word, like a OBGYN. I don't know what is happening right now. Obstetricians when men came into the birthing place and decided that men wanted women in hospitals to give birth. Basically, that's what happened. And it is what happened. Look at history. I'm not just saying that as like trying to sound feminist or anything. It is actually what happened. Men just wanted control. They couldn't understand that women could just give birth, and they medicalized it completely, and they made it into this thing where pregnancy was a disease and birth was something that you had to be drugged up for and escape from. And it is just, I'm not going to get into it, but like that is actually just what happened. And women women were giving birth and they were surrounded by their women, and that is just how it was. Anyway, Kodak's just waking up from his nap, so I hope that you enjoyed my little update, and I hope that I answered your question of home birth versus free birth. Neither are right or wrong. They're both just perfect in what they are, and it could just get you thinking of, oh wow, I didn't realize like a home birth was basically the same as giving birth in a hospital, but the comfort of your own home, which is absolutely incredible. And also there's way less interference because there's just the two midwives that you choose to have there. Anyway, I will speak to you guys in next week's episode. Don't forget, if you're not already following the podcast, to click the follow button, share it with a friend. I really appreciate it. It helps it grow, and we love that. Anyway, talk to you next week. Bye.